research and administration.
Tian Wen here. Raider camps come in all shapes and sizes. If you spot a shack made of mostly corrugated sheets, that's probably one of ours.
I have a bad habit of holding my cursor low, kind of break, keep it head height.
Yeah, no problem.
Team up.
Yo!
by a second.
Still no blueprints. Not a bad run though. Anvil, Rente, Arpeggio. Bunch of attachments. Mad at it. What else do I have? I know it was. Oh yeah, I know. This.
Off the list, discharged, launching a terror spaceport. Damn, I don't care.
spill intake faces the swamp. It's easy to find if you locate the water treatment building first. See if you can find anything that points to the source of the contamination.
Raider, down there. Hey there! Hey! Hey!
Oh, friendly. You are. Damn. You made it. What? Came in here and grabbed that. That's crazy. Presenter. Maybe he panicked? About to hit your ride. I didn't even have to use the key. Got the weapons case. It's pretty sweet. Know what a wall leap is? Wall leap.
What is it? Smart.
Back out.
you where to find and how to complete all of the loot room puzzles in Ark Raiders so that you can focus on making some cash or completing your trials with as many points as possible. Let's start things off with the recent addition to Spaceport, the Hidden Bunker. So the Hidden Bunker is the new limited time event, similar to the nighttime raids and electromagnetic storms, but it's available only on Spaceport. The timer is increased to 40 minutes in raid for this modifier. There are no hatch keys available, and when you first spawn in, you'll notice that 4 antennas have been marked on your map. These seem to spawn on different buildings, but are always found on rooftops and are always roughly in the 4 corners of the spaceport itself. The idea is that you or other raiders will need to activate all 4 of these antennas to open the hidden bunker. When you activate an antenna, a couple of waves of arc will spawn, so be ready to defend yourselves. Now, the chances are you'll bump into other raiders along the way, and if you're in a solo lobby, in my experience, almost everyone is friendly because everyone is trying to get to the bunker. Hopefully it'll stay that way in the weeks to come, but I guess only time will tell. If you do this on duos or trios, it's the absolute opposite, however, and you will get people trying to kill you and take what's in the bunker for themselves. So I'd recommend doing this one on a solo run. Once all 4 antennae are activated, head out to the west of the departure building outside of the spaceport itself. If you're not really sure where you're going, just follow the other raiders because chances are someone will know where this is already. There are 2 entrances, but both are west of the departure building and are guarded by some flying arc as well as some bastions and bombardiers. Which reminds me, we actually did a video on the best way to kill arc like the bastion and the bombardier, so if you're still after their cores to upgrade your workbenches, you might want to check that video out too. Head down into the bunker and loot what you can before everyone else takes their share, and then look for these terminals with glowing lights on them. Red means the terminal is inactive, yellow means it will soon be active, so you can stand and wait for that to activate, and green will signal that the terminal is active and can be used to download data. Each of these downloads total up to 800 points towards the associated trial, and while nobody really knows what other secrets the bunker may hold, there's speculation in the community around a couple of theories right now. One is that the terminals could be activated in a certain order to cause a currently unknown event to happen. Another is that the orb in the middle of the bunker is going to be important towards either a quest or for unlocking a new map in a future update. When you ping this orb, it at the very center of the map. Head up the ramps either side of the tower and then down into one of the 2 generator rooms. Inside there will be an inactive generator with an open slot for a power cell. You'll need to leave the tower and check the surrounding area for this battery, which we found laying on top of this air conditioning unit in our run. Now, of course, grabbing this battery leaves you very vulnerable as you carry it back up the ramp, so keep your wits about you for any hostile raiders that may want to poach the loot from you. Plug the battery into the generator and don't forget to pull the lever on the side in order to open the doors to the zip lines. Something to note here, there are 2 generators and as such 2 sets of zip lines, meaning you only need to open one to access the tower, but you will also only have one exit. I'd strongly suggest bringing mines for this one because believe me, there is a good chance you'll get interrupted by other raiders. Once you're at the top of the tower, it's important to know that it's not just the control rooms offering you loot here. There's also 2 large crates on top of each tower that require you to press a button and then fight a few waves of wasps and hornets before you can access them. These often hold the best loot and are definitely worth fighting for. Lastly, there's quite often a rocketeer in this area that patrols up the side of the tower and can absolutely ruin your day if you're unprepared. So if you've got room to bring a Wolfpack grenade in your safe pocket, it may save you from an untimely demise. Okay, so with the spaceport out of the way, we're headed over to Blue Gate next, where there will also only leave you very vulnerable as you carry it back up the ramp. So keep your wits about you for any hostile raiders that may want to poach the loot from you. Plug the battery into the generator and don't forget to pull the lever on the side in order to open the doors to the zip lines. Something to note here, there are 2 generators and as such 2 sets of zip lines, meaning you only need to open one to access the tower, but you will also only have one exit. I'd strongly suggest bringing mines for this one because believe me, there is a good chance you'll get interrupted by other raiders. Once you're at the top of the tower, it's important to know that it's not just the control rooms offering you loot here. There's also 2 large crates on top of each tower that require you to press a button and then fight a few waves of wasps and hornets before you can access them. These often hold the best loot and are definitely worth fighting for. Lastly, there's quite often a rocketeer in this area that patrols up the side of the tower and can absolutely ruin your day if you're unprepared. So if you've got room to bring a Wolfpack grenade in your safe pocket, it may save you from an untimely demise. Okay, so with the spaceport out of the way, we're headed over to Blue Gate next, where there's a range of puzzles for you to solve, some offering high quality loot opportunities with a hefty risk involved, and others being less dangerous but also offering lesser returns. First up is the ruined fort. This one is tucked away in the southeast corner of the map. However, it is important for me to note here that there are at least a couple of spawn locations near this puzzle, and we frequently ended up in fights with other raiders while trying to access the loot room that you'll find up against the wall just outside the fort itself. To open the door, you'll need to bring power cells to 3 of these open boxes on the wall. You can find one in the tower of the fort itself, one in the center of the fort on the outside of the tower, and another along the exterior wall. The power cells are scattered in the nearby area and have several spawn locations, but to make life a little bit easier for you, they will always spawn on top of these grey pallets. Most of the locations in which you'll find the batteries are in the surrounding ruined buildings not too far away. Gather them up, plug them in, and the door will open, revealing a cellar that is stocked with loot. Now the loot in here is decent. The fort itself. To open the door, you'll need to bring power cells to 3 of these open boxes on the wall. You can find one in the tower of the fort itself, one in the center of the fort on the outside of the tower, and another along the exterior wall. The power cells are scattered in the nearby area and have several spawn locations, but to make life a little bit easier for you, they will always spawn on top of these grey pallets. Most of the locations in which you'll find the batteries are in the surrounding ruined buildings not too far away. Gather them up, plug them in, and the door will open, revealing a cellar that is stocked with loot. Now the loot in here is decent, especially on nighttime raids where those rewards are increased. And it won't take you too long to find the batteries once you're familiar with their spawns. But as mentioned, there is a decent chance you'll bump into other raiders here, and as such, it does make this one a moderate risk for the level of return you're getting. So proceed with caution when completing this puzzle, and let me know what some of your best finds were from this room down below. Over on the west side of the map is an entirely different puzzle nestled in the Raiders' Refuge. There will be 4 yellow buttons that you need to find and press to open the sealed cellar door on the exterior wall of the southeast side of the church. The first button is usually pretty close to the cellar door itself, sometimes just sitting right out in the open. The remaining 3 are much harder to find and have several spawn locations. You will need to check everywhere, including under the bed in the attic, along the outside walls of the bell tower, and even in the rafters. You'll likely find it quite difficult to locate these buttons on your first try, but from our testing, they have always been inside or on the exterior wall of the church. Once you get used to what you're looking for and where they tend to be hidden, this puzzle will of course become much easier. I've completed this puzzle about 4 times now, and really the only downside is the fact that this one can take a while to complete. So while it's not exactly a busy area, you will be here for a while, and as such, there's a decent chance that someone is going to wander into the area while you're there eventually. These 2 guys actually happened across me and a friend while we were doing the puzzle. They waited for us to finish it, and then tried to kill us with a bunch of grenades while we were in the cellar, and as you can see, they made a pretty poor attempt at it too. Just something to watch out for while you're doing these. Not everyone is going to be friendly. Once you've pressed all 4 buttons, the cellar will open and the loot will be all yours. We found some decent stuff in this one around the same level as the ruined fort, and I definitely think this one could be done faster than the ruined fort once you get used to the button placements, since you're not lugging around those fuel cells all the time. So a worthwhile looting opportunity, especially on night runs. items. Now, if you're looking for a puzzle on Blue Gate which comes with lower risk attached, you might want to check out one of the deforesters. These can be found in 2 locations. The first is the southwest corner by the adorned wreckage, and you're looking for this monstrous machine which you might even recognize from your quests if you've progressed to a certain stage already. The other is on the far east side of the map at the end of the Broken Earth Trail. And again, you'll complete a quest in this area as well, which, looking back, is probably meant to introduce you to these machines. For either location, you'll need to bring 3 of the Arc power cells that you can find by looting just about any Arc enemy or husk. You can bring them in with you when setting up your loadout, you can break into some husks around the deforester, or just shoot down a couple of Arc before attempting the puzzle. Once you have those, you'll want to head just inside the entrance of the deforester and look for this short-circuiting electrical panel. You should have an option to interact with it, which will require 1 of the 3 power cells you've gathered. Once that's done, the deforester will now begin launching flame jets every few seconds. You'll need to pass through the flame jets between each of their bursts to access the second interaction point. And once that one's done, the final panel can be found above you on the newly created platform. The flame jets will now rotate between quarters, so pull yourself up onto the platform, wait for them to pass by, and step through to input the last power cell. When finishing your interaction with the last power cell, a container of loot that I think is mostly similar to the sort of stuff you'll get from an Arc probe will become available. I don't really think this one is all that worth it right now. It is much quieter, quicker, and out of the way than the other puzzles, but right now I just don't think there's enough loot to spend the time completing this one when we could just crack open a probe or 2 and get the same stuff. Next on the Blue Gate map, we're headed underground for one of 2 puzzles that you can find there. This is the Colored Lights puzzle, which can be found at 2 locations, one in the eastern tunnels on a raised catwalk between these 2 entrances directly below a supply call station, and another under the reinforced reception on the west side of the underground area. Whichever location you decide to visit, you'll want to look out for a computer terminal like this one that you can interact with. If you can't interact with it when you approach, it just means someone else has already completed this puzzle and you can move along. Interact with the terminal and you'll hear a distant siren from the container that will be holding your loot for you. Just keep in mind that if you can hear it, so can other raiders. A few moments later, a colored light will appear on the screen, which will be blue, yellow, or red. Follow the arrows on the wall that correspond to the color on the terminal, and you should find your way to a smaller loot box, which usually doesn't hold much, to be honest, often similar contents to that of a supply drop, such as ammo, medical supplies, and the occasional high-tier weapon. If I had to choose between the 2 locations, I would always recommend going for the eastern tunnel, as this tends to be much quieter than the reinforced reception area where lots of PvP encounters take place. There are a couple of high quality loot rooms in that area that everyone wants to scrap over, and that is where our next puzzle will be. So, as I've just mentioned, this locked underground room can be found beneath the reinforced reception very close to the Western Lights puzzle. From that very same terminal, move forward and around the bend to the right, down this long hallway until you come to a big locked door with an open panel on the wall. Now that you've found the room itself, go back to the same room the light puzzle terminal was in and look around in the nearby area for a panel on the wall with some red lights. 1 battery should be laying on the ground in front of it. Now this panel has a few potential spawn locations reception very close to the Western Lights puzzle. From that very same terminal, move forward and around the bend to the right, down this long hallway until you come to a big locked door with an open panel on the wall. Now that you've found the room itself, go back to the same room the light puzzle terminal was in and look around in the nearby area for a panel on the wall with some red lights. 1 battery should be laying on the ground in front of it. Now this panel has a few potential spawn locations, but they're all within the rooms surrounding the locked door, so you won't have to go far. Remove the batteries from this panel and take all 3 of them over to the one beside the locked room. After inserting them, it should open, revealing quite a lot of high quality loot to add to some already amazing loot rooms nearby. This helps to make this area of the underground incredibly valuable, and as such you can expect some massive fights here, so it may be worth bringing some mines to help cover your back while you try and complete the puzzle. Just a quick note here, as it stands, the battery panel can bug out entirely at the moment, and in such cases, you will not be able to interact with it, and thus the puzzle can't be completed. Hopefully the developers fix this in the future, but it's worth knowing that this isn't anything you've done wrong. Overall, this room is absolutely from Blue Gate, that being the colored light puzzles we looked at earlier in this video. You'll treat these terminals exactly the same. Press the button, wait for the colored light, and follow the corresponding signs to the loot box matching the color on the screen. There is a key difference with the Stellamontis versions of these terminals though, being that they are not guaranteed spawns and can change location with each journey topside, unlike their Blue Gate counterparts, which are consistent spawns. With that in mind, I've been playing quite a lot of Stellamontis recently and have cataloged all of the spawn locations for these puzzles that I could find, which are shown on this map diagram for you now. You can pause the video here if you'd simply like to find the closest one to you. It's important to remember that, of course, Stellamontis has 2 levels of elevation to the in-game map, which can make navigation a little bit tricky, and you'll need to make sure you're on the correct layer in order to find the terminals. Just for good measure, the locations of these terminals are as follows. The first one can be found in the eastern tunnels north of the seed vaults, just as you're going around the bend on the northeast corner of this layer. By the seed vaults itself, just outside of the locked door requiring a power cell, is where the next terminal spawn location resides. Quick note here, if the terminal goes red, it will require you to find the nearby power cell and open the seed vault in order to obtain your loot. Keep in mind that the vault is often filled with ticks and turrets. Nothing too risky, but they can be a bit of a nuisance. Directly west of these seed vaults, on the same layer as our first 2 terminals, you can find another puzzle within Robotic Sandbox B, straight in front of the rover display. Further west still, you can find another spawn location at the southeast corner of the loading bay, nearby to one of the staircases. This one is quite open, so watch your back while activating this terminal for any raiders that might be watching from the upper levels. There's also often a bastion patrolling this area, so don't rush into this one. Switching to the other layer now, you'll be able to find another terminal in the middle of the medical area, just outside of the viewing deck. In my experience, the medical wing can be an incredibly dangerous area of Stellamontis. Many of my PvP encounters have taken place in this section of the map, so watch your back with this one, and remember that hostile raiders can use the audio cues triggered by the puzzle to locate you. And the last terminal that I was able to find while playing Stellamontis was in the central corridor, just beside the main lobby. There's another locked door in this area that requires a power cell, so keep that in mind and be wary that the lobby has many floors overlooking the open area below, which can leave you very exposed if anybody wants to take advantage. In my experience, it seems like only a couple of these puzzles are active at any given time on Stellamontis, but this should see you well prepared for tracking them down. And last but by certainly no means least in today's video is the Harvester event, guarded by none other than the Queen, the most dangerous arc enemy that you can encounter in the current state of the game. The most dangerous aspect of this puzzle, though, in my opinion, is other raiders. You should know well in advance of approaching this one that you may need several attempts, because you will be very vulnerable to attack while attempting the puzzle, and of course once you leave there's always a chance you'll get shot in the back. Still, this is the place to get your hands on blueprints for the legendary weapons currently available in the game, as well as a bunch of other high tier loot, so it is incredibly valuable for those that are willing to take the risk. If you're attempting this one for yourself, I'd recommend bringing a few key items to help you along the way. First, and most importantly in my eyes, you'll want an augment that will support at least 2 safe pocket slots. This will ensure that if you do get your hands on those legendary blueprints, you'll be able to secure them, even if someone is camping outside waiting for you to finish the puzzle, and believe me, this does happen quite a bit. On top of that, I'd also recommend a zip line, some deployable barricades that can be purchased from Apollo, and if you have one available, one of the cloaking devices. Yes, this is a large investment, but you can keep the cloaking device in your safe pocket until it's ready for use if you're worried about using it, and this is ultimately some of the best loot in the game, so it's worth the risk. When approaching the Harvester, I like to run a zip line down to one of the entrances and use the cloaking device to ensure that I'm not spotted by the Queen while using the zip line or any other active arc in the area as I enter. I'll then place my barricades around one of the entrances, which will give me cover when I need to step out during the puzzle, and this happens quite frequently, as you'll see in a minute. If you don't bring the barricades, you're open to being sniped by other raiders during this time. You'll need to breach into the harvester and use the elevators to go around the upper levels, breaching open these containers. You're looking for 2 canisters like these that can be carried to the center of the harvester and inserted into it. One will spawn in the middle on the ground, so you just need to find 2 more, and it can be in any of these breachable containers. Every so often, a siren will sound, and when that happens, you'll need to quickly run outside and wait for the flame jets to activate and finish their rotation before continuing the puzzle. This is where that deployed cover is going to keep you safe from any would-be snipers. The Queen can also cause an electromagnetic pulse that will destroy your shields while inside the harvester, but it will not damage your health, so you can either take your shield off while doing the puzzle or just bring some extra recharges. Once you've inserted the 3 canisters, several yellow buttons will appear on the walls surrounding you. Shoot every single button until they are destroyed, and at that point, 3 loot containers will be revealed in the middle of the harvester, hopefully holding those legendary blueprints. Tuck them away in your safe pocket as quickly as possible, and remember to use your cloaking device on the way out to avoid any arc attention if you can. Just as a quick side note here, the harvester also makes for a great location to fight the Queen from once the puzzle is done, but keep in mind that you'll probably need a handful of Wolfpack grenades, a hull cracker, and tons of launcher ammo. So on your first attempt, you may just want to grab the blueprints and get out safely. So that's it for all of the loot puzzles currently available in Arc Raiders, but I'm sure if more come along in the future, I'll do a video on those too. Zip line down to one of the entrances and use the cloaking device to ensure that I'm not spotted by the Queen while using the zip line or any other active arc in the area as I enter. I'll then place my barricades around one of the entrances, which will give me cover when I need to step out during the puzzle, and this happens quite frequently, as you'll see in a minute. If you don't bring the barricades, you're open to being sniped by other raiders during this time. You'll need to breach into the harvester and use the elevators to go around the upper levels, breaching open these containers. You'll
That's all the puzzles. Good to know. What up, Derp?
Yo, you want to do trials? I'll invite you to disc.
What's that?
We're trying to do some trials real quick.
Yeah.
Alright, but
I'm down. Which ones?
any.
Word.
Like, just to get a good score. Like, I'm trying to do leapers right now.
Cool.
But matriarch's up.
Yeah, get configured for that.
Yo, in chat, I'll put the disc if you want to join. That's where we're at.
Okay.
No, you can't copy pasta, but...
Oh, man.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, that's fine.
Also, I can make it copy pasta if you need it.
No, I can tell.